Los Angeles is gearing up for its third time hosting the Olympic Games, but this time there's something big at stake. It aims to make history by being the first host city to turn a profit. In fact, the goal is simple: to prove that hosting the Olympics can be financially sustainable, rather than a cash-draining disaster. As the games approach in 2028, Louisiana has devised a bold plan that could reshape how the world thinks about hosting the Olympics forever. But can it really succeed? Let's dive into the potential for this ambitious idea to work: the Olympics' financial track record. First, let's talk about what LA is up against. Hosting the Olympics has historically been a money pit for many cities. In fact, since 1960, the Olympics have gone over budget by an average of 172%. Yikes. That's a lot of zeros for one sporting event. The Tokyo 2020 Games started with a $7 billion budget, but by the end they had spent a whopping $13 billion. And that's without factoring in the revenue losses caused by the pandemic and the absence of spectators. Talk about a financial hangover. Then there's Rio 2016, another cautionary tale of financial woes. Brazil poured nearly $113 billion into the Olympics, but after the Games, their venues were left to gather dust, abandoned and underused. Meanwhile, the Olympic Village, which was supposed to serve as housing for future residents, stands partially abandoned. Not exactly a great advertisement for hosting the Games, right? The same pattern continues with London 2012. Despite being considered a relative success, the budget for that event was still a whopping 76% over the original estimates. The Olympic Stadium alone set back taxpayers by $700 million to build, with an additional $400 million needed to convert it for post-games use. Even the famed Beijing Bird's Nest Stadium, which hosted the 2008 Olympics, costs $1 million a year just to maintain. And then there's Montreal, which only finished paying off its 1976 Olympic debt in 2006, 30 years later. Ouch. Can LA defy the odds? So can LA avoid the fate of these past Olympic host cities? Given the financial pressures, it might seem like an impossible task, but LA is determined to rewrite the script. The city is expecting a total operating budget of $6.9 billion for the 2028 Olympics, which will make these games among the most expensive in history. They're also expecting around 15,000 athletes, 40 sports, and 800 events, plus 800,000 visitors during the games. Global viewership is estimated to exceed 3 billion, but here's the kicker: LA plans to cover all costs through private funding, including sponsorships, broadcast rights, and ticket sales, rather than relying on public funding. A new approach. Here's where things get interesting: LA's no-build strategy. Instead of constructing massive new venues that will likely go unused after the games, Louisiana plans to use existing venues. Yes, you read that right. Rather than spending billions on new stadiums that could turn into white elephants, Louisiana is going to take advantage of the infrastructure already in place, and it's a plan that could save billions in construction costs. Let's compare this to recent host cities like Tokyo or Rio. In those cities, massive new neighborhoods were constructed just to accommodate the Olympics. This kind of spending is one of the main reasons many Olympic cities end up drowning in debt after the games are over. LA, on the other hand, is going to make the most of what it already has. In total, Louisiana 2028 will use 28 existing venues spread across Southern California. These venues are ready to go, and many already have a history of hosting major events, so they know how to handle large crowds and complex logistics. Here's how they plan to use these venues for the games: iconic venues and historic locations. The opening and closing ceremonies of the LA 2028 Olympics will take place at two iconic venues, the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum and SoFi Stadium in Englewood. The Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum is a piece of Olympic history, having previously hosted the 1932 and 1984 Olympics. Recently renovated at a cost of $315 million, this national historic landmark will make history by becoming the first stadium to host the Summer Olympics 3 times. It's a stunning venue with a legacy, and it will play a central role in LA 2028. SoFi Stadium, which is known as the most expensive stadium ever built at $5.5 billion, will also be a key venue for the games. Opened in 2020, SoFi is a cutting-edge facility designed for large-scale events with top-tier broadcasting infrastructure and crowd management systems. It's the perfect spot for major Olympic events, and its innovative indoor-outdoor design will help make it a standout location during the games. More venues: UCLA, USC, and Santa Monica Beach. Let's explore some of the other iconic venues for LA 2028. UCLA will serve as the Olympic Village, housing 16,000 athletes, with world-class facilities, including a $136 million renovated venue for 13,800 people and Olympic-sized pools. USC's Galen Center will transform into a premier fencing venue, already equipped for large-scale events like basketball and esports. Santa Monica Beach will host beach volleyball, with temporary stands on the sand offering stunning views. Equestrian events will take place at the fully equipped Tula Equestrian Center, a 242-acre facility. Lastly, the Rose Bowl, with a seating capacity of 92,542, will host the Olympic soccer finals, adding another legendary chapter to its history. Saving money and avoiding white elephants. Using existing venues instead of building new ones is a massive money saver. It's estimated that this approach will save $150 million in construction costs. Even more importantly, it avoids creating the dreaded white elephant stadiums, expensive venues that serve no purpose once the games are over. In LA's case, venues like SoFi Stadium will return to their regular use after the Olympics, meaning they won't sit idle, wasting taxpayer money. Will the Olympics change the city's transit system? Now, let's talk about LA's notorious traffic. Anyone who's been in the city during rush hour knows that getting around can be a nightmare, but LA is taking the Olympics as an opportunity to overhaul its public transportation system. The city is investing billions into expanding metro lines and bus routes so that by 2028, getting around might actually be possible without a car dot. The transportation plan includes adding 4,000 extra buses, extending metro operating hours to 24/7, and creating dedicated Olympic lanes on major thoroughfares. LA Metro officials are also planning to increase train frequency and implement bus rapid transit lanes to handle the expected surge in ridership. The city's current transit system handles about 1.2 million rides a day, but during the games, that number needs to increase to 2.3 million. This overhaul could significantly change how people get around to LA. While there are no guarantees, if it works, it might transform the city from a car-dependent metropolis to a more transit-friendly place. That's a big if in a city known for its love of cars. LA's track record, profitability in 1984. Let's not forget that LA has successfully pulled off a profitable Olympics before. The 1984 Games were the first to be funded almost entirely through corporate sponsorships and private sources. LA made a profit then, and many believe they can repeat that success in 2028 with smart budgeting and sponsorship deals. Will everything go according to plan? Of course, there are risks. There's always a chance that things won't go as planned, whether it's delays in transportation projects or unexpected cost overruns. The scale of hosting an event like the Olympics is always a gamble, and things don't always go smoothly. But there's something different about LA's approach. Instead of relying on massive new construction, they're focusing on using existing infrastructure, saving money, and minimizing risk. It's a refreshingly sensible approach in an era where many cities have spent themselves into financial ruin trying to outdo the previous host. Will LA succeed? So can LA pull off a profitable Olympics? It's impossible to say for sure, but one thing is clear, they're taking a completely different approach than any previous host city, and if they succeed, it could forever change how we think about the financial realities of hosting the world's biggest sporting event. If you ask me, there's a lot of reason to be hopeful. If history is any indicator, Louisiana might just prove that hosting the Olympics doesn't have to be a financial disaster. Only time will tell, but I'm rooting for them. If you enjoyed this deep dive into LA's Olympic plans, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more exciting content on world events and the latest updates. Got thoughts on whether LA can pull this off? Drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned for more jaw-dropping insights and behind-the-scenes scoops.